What is up guys, Wraec here with a new video, and today we're going to take a look at the upcoming return rate up. Return rate ups, fairly interesting, first introduced this season. Next up here is Tasi and Hodgkin. And the thing about those is they are only ever there for a very limited amount of time. This time around they're scheduled from November the 7th at 0 UTC to November the 9th at 23:59 UTC, which the start of is in 2 days, 6 hours when I recorded, and you can of course check that with your local time in-game by just entering the event tabs under battle mode. So, question is, are those two worth it? And this is a tough one to ask, one of which, those two heroes, is one of my favorite heroes in the game. And I mean, that kind of gives him some extra points, but every return rate up competes with the rate ups that we have right here with the new heroes, so we're going to have to be a little bit strict. Nonetheless, let's check out the first hero. The first hero is Hodgkin, and the good thing is we kind of have an established state. That means I can tell you how often this guy is used. We saw how much impact he had on the meta. We saw basically everything, and I sadly have to say, yeah, this guy had no impact on the meta whatsoever, but I made some very cool PvP screenshots with him, and I want to show that to you. Let's start off with the cool PvP clip first. Okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to destroy Brownie's team here, which is absolutely unfair because this team is insane against this. And he has no artifact set because I think he forgot to refresh this team. But it's going to give you an idea. So what happens here is he comes out of Pandora's box and he has an absolute obscene ult. And you can see back-to-back ult. As long as there are enough enemies, this guy is able to back-to-back ult, which is absolutely insane against certain heroes. The requirement for that is basically, well, that the enemy has like a lot of units on the board. So the more the better. If you fight something like Fresto, it's great. If you fight something like Zanny, that is absolutely perfect. And in a few of my videos, I've already shown you guys how this guy demolishes enemy teams with too many units, because he will just, you can see ults, bam, energy back to full, next ult already incoming. Absolutely insane damage output. So that I would say that is really his strength. This absolutely obscene damage output that you can do. It works without the Pandora as well. It has a little bit of a difficulty. So I'm just going to show it to you what happens when we will remove the Pandora, because, well, this guy, yeah, he is a melee unit, and this doesn't really work out too well for him. So let's just try this out. Same fight, no Pandora. He summons his Dead-Tide Warriors at the beginning, then runs over. He can get to his ult. He has initial energy now, which isn't too bad. Still, nonetheless, you will see this guy run to the enemy. And in many situations, that will be a death sentence. If the enemy runs Kulu, it will ever so more be a death sentence, because he will try to destroy the rock that Kulu summons and obviously not get to the enemy. And then the second big problem is he relies on his ult. So before you start fancying this guy a little bit too much, we're going to send him against a little bit of a stronger team, a team that Atraxi set up right here, which consists of whaling, really. Yeah, that's a ton of whaling. But it's also a rather strong team, and we are going to try this out with our Hodgkin, and then we already see the first problem. Hodgkin against the Dunlinger doesn't really do a whole lot. He only starts really attacking once this is over, and the enemy Dunlinger is taken out of the equation. Then he starts outputting real damage. Doesn't even do too much against this. I wanted to show a bad example. Thank you. That is another nice feature. Thank you, enemy Athalia, for saving me here, because he was just starting to look a little bit too good there. You can see damage output is fairly fine, and also with like the fist damage immunity that he has, which is pretty nice, he can take a bit of damage. So that is fairly fancy. The only problem that he has is, without his ult, he does nothing. He has to walk to the enemy. And physical damage isn't quite that common in PvP, really. I mean, if we look into the enemy team, we have Eliseth, of course, yes. Saida, magic damage. Thalia says physical damage, which is kind of a lie, because her stuff often does true damage. So true damage also, he is not immune against them. We have burial with magic damage. And then if you think of like more common heroes, what do we have there? Let's take the most common PvP unit choice that I also had in my PvP video. which is gone, which is up here, which is Chimera, obviously, and there we look at magic and true damage again. So that kind of makes it difficult for him to survive even in PvP. And with ult-reliant units in general struggle quite a bit. So really never had a big impact on PvP, despite, and well, I have to say that too, a little bit too saving, I think he is an underestimated unit. I think that is like, there's like the undercover pick that should be in way more PvP matchups. And you can see the damage that he does with his ult. Where does this come from? So basically it doesn't look too fancy. It says dealing 320% damage to every enemy, basically, fires it at every enemy. He also deals damage to allies, but I can tell you, you will hardly notice it. So it's not too bad. Consecutively hit enemies will take reduced damage. And the cool thing is, it will take damage to the enemy and adjacent enemies. Meaning if enemies are grouped close together and he shoots one of them, he will also hit the one that stand in the tiles next to them. And this will lead to a ton of extra damage. It's a little bit like the Siren Orbs, you know? The Siren Orbs, but imagine that as like a big ult. And that is the cool thing. And then he got a Supreme Plus Plus upgrade. And that was really key because he had 0 initial energy. That made it really bad for him to get his ult. So they gave him 400 initial energy, absolutely great. And during cannon fire, for each enemy hit by the cannon at least 2 times, which is easy. That will happen quite often, especially if the enemies are grouped close together, which in many situations they are. And you know, he hits adjacent enemies, so it's easy. He recovers 150 energy and reduces enemy vitality by 80. And vitality is a rather important stat that you don't really want to lose. So vitality increases the effectiveness of the units received healing and shields, so makes it more difficult for the enemy to heal. So he will effectively block that, but it doesn't matter. Like the vitality part has never really mattered for me because he just bursts through the enemy lines so effectively and his damage is so high in case he gets to his ult. Let's try fighting Atraxi one more time before we come to a conclusion here on the Hodgkin. I added Mihira in here, maybe that helps and can save us here. We still have to survive the Dundlinger time, so that will be a little bit tough. Killed our Pandora. Now we get our ult, big ult. Didn't quite give us the energy back. That is quite sad. Survive, no! And yeah, didn't really do a whole lot. So this time we did even worse, which is a little bit sad, I have to say. But yeah, so in conclusion, should you summon him? No. Sadly, I can't give you a summoning recommendation for this guy. He is just too off meta. He didn't make it into AFK stages, didn't make it in PV, in Dream Realm. So really, there was not really a place for him. And in PvP, he's too ult-reliant to be really great. It's too easily countered by something like a Dundlinger on the enemy side. And yeah, he doesn't have potential outside of his ult. His ult is great though. And I still think there are a lot of ult choices. People do Chimera, which is better. Let's be honest. If you want an ult-reliant hero, Chimera is better. The only situation where I say Hodgkin is really better if the enemies are closely grouped together and you have multiple on them. So if we maybe get to a place where healing and sustain become kind of good and you have some teams that are like maybe in the season Tasi and Kulu put together and building like a little bit of a fortress on the enemy side, I could see that Hodgkin could punch in there because he will do back-to-back ults. It will be great. But you shouldn't summon him. Put him on your list. There aren't too many S-tier Graveborn heroes and you can slowly get him there. That will be alright. But in the wishlist priority here, there are just other heroes you want to have first. You want to have Chimera, your Diamond, your Ludovic, and essentially you are waiting for units that are close to this power level where he just isn't. We have to be truthful about it. So I would just save up your rate uplifters in this case. Let's come to the next hero though, and that is Tasi. And Tasi, basically, and that's the cool thing, if you replace the word Hodgkin partly with Tasi, we have already said a lot in the conclusion already, because Tasi is also a very ult-reliant hero in the same way. It's kind of interesting that we have that here. She has a very cool skin, and I know very many people are jealous. It's very, very difficult to obtain, so we have the ult animation right here, which is kind of bugged for me. I don't know why, but I am in ult animations now. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, so you probably can't really enjoy that one. The skin is available from the Rosy Cosmetics store. It's rather expensive. But what does she do? So, well, she was released, I think, during Waves of Intrigue, where she was also a character. And her main thing is really that she has this global AoE. CC. So she can CC every enemy on the board for a pretty long time, 3.5 seconds, and you can add to that with ultimate power, which was commonly there within the season, so that is very, very cool, and was of course used in PvP and also in PvE. You can put her in Pandora's box to quickly see her ult, and I just want to give you guys an example here. So we're going to use the same team against Brownie's team again. Big ult coming out, and you can see she will go from enemy to enemy basically and do her damage, and with Pandora in the team you get pretty much back-to-back ults from her, which is very, very good. So during the CC time and everything, you can keep a very, very long CC up, which makes her, I would say, like from the consistency and everything, especially together with Pandora, one of the best CC heroes in the game, which doesn't necessarily make her a summon though. We have to say that. She was very much PvE meta during the time, or AFK stage meta, during the time when she was released. Mainly there we had like a Lightbearer, buff Lightbearer faction skill that let you cast your ultimate skill twice, which was insane with her. Later on, she fell a little bit out of grace. A little bit more. There's one really big problem that she has, and that is this 0 initial energy over here. And that lets her take quite a while to get to her ult, and that's why some people before said, well, she is kind of not the best hero. She was, I wouldn't say underestimated, because she still did very, very well. And when you took her into the AFK stages, it was quite good. But this initial energy that made her struggle in PvP, especially against units with an executability. Because why do we need the executability? Because she has a very cool ability that still lets her get essentially to the enemy and lets her get to the ult, and that is this one, the Fluttering Dream. Enters her dream realm, transforms into a butterfly upon losing 50% HP. In this form she becomes invincible, recovering 120% HP per second while dealing damage to the enemies, and also recovering energy during the time, by the way, as long as there are enemies next to her. And this effect lasts for 3 seconds, and Tasi can cast this skill up to 2 times in one battle. So essentially, once she falls below the 50% HP mark, she will do this, and she will basically go back into this butterfly form, become invincible, start regenerating health, which lets her drag out the fight quite a lot. So that is very, very good, and also lets her get to her ult. There's one single problem with this ability. This doesn't have like an immediate trigger. So it doesn't go like 50%, bam, she's invincible, no chance to get her below that. You can get like a very big hit from a PvE unit in there, and suddenly she will be gone. So that sadly is the thing here. She doesn't have like quite the same capabilities as, for example, Mihira, where it specifically says that she blocks damage that she receives. So you can see she sacrifices wording to block that damage. And that is something that she really doesn't have, so she can be overkilled, which is a little bit sad. But now we come to the good part. We have this haste and damage taken debuff, so that will make it really, really difficult for her to die after she cast her ult. So that is very, very good. You really want that. Also would recommend you go with plus 15 on her if you have her. And then this one is the interesting one, the Supreme Plus. Tasi gains an extra attempt to cast Fluttering Dream each time she assists or defeats a non-summoned enemy. And with the way she works, where she will fly basically to the enemy, do her AoE thing and everything, she will assist in basically every kill on the board. So it's not uncommon to see her go into this mode like 4 or 5 times, which is insane. Let's just try the same thing we did before against Atrax's team again, as she has the same problem essentially, where Dunlinger blocks her from ulting, so well she won't, and also she won't stay into that area. But you can see how close she gets to any enemy. As an Athalia puts out her hit, she can one-shot her. So that is possible, and especially in a Lance form when she can't be CC'd, there we go. Our Tasi was just one shot and just didn't trigger her immunity, where she would have probably gotten like another 2 or 3 revives there, but heroes like Athalia can take her out, and you can see that is not a low unit, that's a plus 20 Tasi at P4, so no rivalry difference right here. Does she have a chance to defeat this team? Well, essentially, I would say yes. If she gets like a good consecutive CC, maybe the Athalia doesn't die very early, and Athalia doesn't natively have immunity to her CC, so it could work out, but it harbors like a high risk. You can see she has the stun, which I think is pretty cool. We can see the ult right now, one try again. Damage isn't super big, especially in a situation where you have like an... that was close. But it was the spear again that one-shot us. Especially in a situation where you don't have Pandora, her damage isn't really high. But you can put her in the Pandora box and get like this instant full team CC, and that can take out enemy units. And I think everybody that played a little bit in PvP has experienced once when Tasi popped out from somewhere and did her ult, CC'd your entire team and took out 4 units. So she has really this comeback thing, and that's why I would still see her in PvP, because she isn't quite that bad there. And even if she's ultra-lined, there's always a little bit of this comeback with her ability. The disadvantage, of course, being that she can't be one-shot. Units like Athalia will do so, which makes her an unreliably main damage dealer, but quite often enough she isn't even used as that. She's used as like a support unit, in where her revive is abused to just drag out the fight and give you still a little bit of a comeback with her massive ult that you can use right there. So that kind of works if you don't use her as a damage dealer, maybe together with Bonnie or something. She's quite good as dealing magic damage to a lot of enemies, so that synergizes quite well. Is she a summon? I think she's too off meta. I think like you can just get better units. Is she a unit that you want? Yes, I think you do. I think you want to put her on your list, but in terms of like rate up, I would save that up. I would save those rate up letters up for some unit that might arrive in this season that could just be better. And for her, I would say it feels a little bit like the tooth of time dragged a little bit too much on her, and now she isn't really the top CC unit anymore. If she was still that, I would say yes. But more often than not, you see CC units in PvE and Dreamrealm, and not in Dreamrealm. Dreamrealm, you won't see her at all. In the normal AFK stage, you see the Iron still. And then the main unit that is now meta in PvE in the AFK stages is Cider. Cider just has a 45 seconds CC that just through the entire time. And I saw her very often, and the other one is actually Lucy. So I would place her behind those. And at least Lucy you can get from somebody. You can just rent her and then buy in the Emporium, essentially. So as long as you have diamonds, you can get her, which makes her rather accessible despite being difficult to access. So I wouldn't necessarily say you must summon her, but she's still a decent choice from the Wilder faction nonetheless. So overall, still a fairly good hero, and one that I would place rather far to the front in terms of summoning. I also talked about next time. So next time, the next return rate up heroes are apparently Lily May and Thador. And both of those, so Thador, this guy over here, both of those are pretty good and have like very, very interesting use cases. Lily May used to be like what Chimera now is in Dreamrealm, which she really isn't right now. Right now, Lily May I would place like as a PvP unit, but she has like her comeback a little bit in PvP right now with the Perseus teams and everything. She was gone for a little bit, now she's back. Very interesting. Thador now made his mark on Pioneer, having the comeback, so we'll definitely have to talk about those two as well. I think they are far better choices than Tasi and Hodgkin right now, so both of those sadly don't get a summoning requirement unless you are a whale and want to get a little bit of an underground hero here to a moment where you can summon him and want to make some interesting screenshots of you bursting down your friend's team, then be invited to summon the hero with the most interesting pant design ever. I don't even want to rotate him. I might lose my YouTube account or something. I'm more scared of this guy than of Mihira in that case. So, anyway. Lastly, we of course have to mention LD Shop, the best website to buy dragon crystals. You will get the cheapest dragon crystals right here. Recommend the 3000 dragon crystal packs for the best deal, and you get a 15% and a 5% discount coupon, which will make this even cheaper if you register through the link down in the description. And if you want to continue to support my channel, then I would really appreciate if you continue to click that link every time you make a purchase, because this leads you to a special shop where I basically get a bit of an affiliate share. You can only see that in the URL. If you click the link, do your purchase then without leaving the site, that will give me the affiliate share, and that will make me very happy if you do it, and also support me in making those videos. So thank you for watching this video, and maybe for supporting me on LD Shop as well. If you haven't already, I would definitely appreciate if you subscribe to this channel. And other than that, I just wish you a great day, and we'll see us in the next one.